I see digital technologies massively been beneficial to this industry. But if the businesses that they're trying to implement them in, if they don't have the right structure initially, they're just adding fuel to the fire. And that is why that's why the industry is finding slow traction on all of this.
Hello everybody, Gavin Coyle. I am the Gaffer, back again, and I've got a guest that's more local than some of the previous guests. He is in Ireland and he's a champion in the construction space in his own right. Think about your own career. If you were in with a pretty large company, things were going well, you were having a great career, the wife was happy, the partner was happy, nice holidays, really good prospects, good salary, and then turn around one day and go, do you know what? I need to do something else. I want to get out on my own. I want to help people, and I want to share my experiences at the top end of construction, having come all the way through the ladder to the point of where, it could have been comfortable, but I'm happy being uncomfortable in a comfortable position. So why don't I just set up my own business and help construction owners, especially in the SME market, fix, unbreak and break and fix again their company, or whatever you feel your company is at. So you might have had a default where you set up your company by default because someone gave you a contract and said, hey, there you go, here's a business, we're going to give you loads of work. Or you could have had a very strategic focused mind to say, look, do you know what? I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to work for myself. Let's just go at it and go out and get some business. And you're doing well, but maybe you don't know exactly why you're doing well, or maybe you're not doing as well as you think you are. I'd say you'd want to talk to Brendan Mullan because I've had a good pre-chat chat, and let's unpack what he has to say in terms of how to start and grow a successful construction business. Welcome to the show, Brendan.
Thanks, Gavin, for the kind introduction. Delighted to be here, and I'll commend you again on the work that you're doing with the podcast. And I hope it continues to grow from success to success.
Thank you very much. And come on straight into it. Why the hell did you give up a comfy job in construction to go out on your own and start from the scratch again with something that is close to a lot of people's hearts in terms of trying to help people to be better construction owners and construction businesses? Where was the tipping point for you where you went, you know what, I'm not fulfilled anymore?
I'll give you a bit of a snapshot just in terms of the journey, because that's what I haven't been, is comfortable. I've always been, I don't know what it is, destined to be dissatisfied with the status quo, but I've over 20 years experience in the industry, from boots on the ground, where I'm labouring the brickies, dry lining, working on civil projects during the summers at school, graduated as a quantity surveyor, and from there scaled the ladder. But it was evident even in my first 2 years in the corporate world as a junior surveyor, sitting in senior project management meetings every week, I could just see the repetition of issues and nothing being changed. But anyways, I scaled the ladder of to be senior surveyor, operated a commercial director, and as you alluded to there, I also set up and built my own company. Why did I leave the comfort? The only bit of comfort that I did get was after going and helping my business grow, was purely because I was fed up seeing the same problems persist. I kept seeing the same problems destroying good people and good businesses. And it was either I continue on my own path, but all I could see was me getting continually frustrated. The other couple of reasons why I wanted to try and tackle this is that I don't see anybody serving the SME sector for general contractors and specialist trades. It's a massive untapped sector, and there's a lot of consultants out there and software vendors that are targeting solutions, but in isolation. I focus on trying to unpack all that, but I'm bringing structure from the outset. And the final reason why I wanted to do this is the challenges of construction and business, they're not going anywhere. I see them continuing to persist. And there's three code. That's the reason why I set this up. I want to try and start making an impact. I don't see anybody trying to make an impact at the overall business and trying to improve these SME businesses so that they can focus with more clarity, consistency, and confidence to compete and develop a business that actually they enjoy operating.
Yeah, and like I've seen examples of people in your space, and I'm sure you're aware there's plenty of saturation of people that are coaches, and they, in my opinion, in a lot of cases, are taking advantage of small to medium enterprise construction owners, and creating these kind of boiler house scenarios where get them in, tell them that, fill them full of fear, so that they feel that there's, geez, I'm in massive trouble here. I need this person. This person's obviously talking about something that they know about, and next thing, all of a sudden, it's become more like a pyramid scheme where you're trying to just bring in more and more tradespeople or independent tradespeople and some small business owners, and it's not about the authentic person trying to actually genuinely give back the blueprint of what they've learned in success in the past in their own careers. And that's one of the reasons we reached out to yourself, is because you didn't take your foot off the pedal for a long time. You've done the hard work in your own career, and then you just said, okay, now I think it's a change. And it's there, and we would definitely agree that there's definitely a small to medium enterprise market out there that need help. But we had a chat in the pre-chat about consultants and the word consultant, and people feeling that they're going to be hit by a consultancy fee in order to do this right. Talk to me about that, and talk to me about just your general market and how you're going to navigate to be that point of difference of a company as opposed to some of these charlatans, shall we say?
It's a massive point, Gavin, and it's a big point that I want to try and impact. Now, I've had my own fair share of coaches and consultants in the past when I've come through the journey, and you're completely right. From what I can see is, and it's a frustration of mine, I see business owners, especially in construction, that they're engaging with these consultants that have no actual construction experience. Now, I commend any consultant or coach that is trying to help, because that is what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, I see them create more confusion and overwhelm. My experience is construction and business. I have actually climbed the ladder. I've operated at the director level. I've operated in every business, every department of a construction business. And I've built and scaled my own through the model now that I've created in terms of my STARS framework. And I don't mean to be callous. A lot of these coaches and consultants, they're regurgitating the same stuff. I'm about gaining tangible benefits for my clients. And I think a lot of them would engage coaches and consultants for structure, but it's actually the antithesis of what they end up getting. That's what I help my clients do. That's the first step. I get them to take a step back, get them to reconnect why they're doing what they're doing. And I assess, because of my experience of running a construction business, because I know the challenges, and it's the reason I set up this 5-step process that I have, I get them to take a step back, and there becomes a light bulb moment where they didn't see the subtle changes that they needed to make in terms of turning their business into a sustainable business rather than a business that's continually firefighting. And it is, as I say, that consultancy and coaching space, it is saturated. There is a stigma around it. I want to try and change it. And I believe I've built a structure, I've built a system, a framework that takes away from the complexity of other frameworks, from other coaching and consultancy frameworks that they have. This is built specifically tailored towards construction businesses. And I've applied it. This isn't something that I developed through college or a master's degree. This is something I developed in my own business. I applied through my own business. And you can see it, the business that I exited from that lucrative position that you alluded to earlier. Through applying this structure, we went from a business turning over 1 million per annum to 4.5 million in the space of 18 months. And it wasn't anything masterful. It was structure and clarity and direction. And that's one of the key things that I provide for my clients.
Yeah, like the numbers, when you hit them numbers, that's big numbers for any SME in 18 months. While you were talking, one thing struck me is that there is an overburden on administration within the system as well. Now, I can't really talk too much about, because I have a background in health and safety, and some people tell me constantly you can't have enough paper for health and safety, but paper with purpose is where I'm talking about. And I know we've mentioned structures and mentioned your framework. It's not all just about paperwork, but just talk to me about the paperwork side of things, because I think that's an interesting topic in itself, that small to medium enterprises have the capacity only to a certain limit in terms of what they can actually manage in terms of the administration side of things. Are you seeing with your customers and with your new, when you take on a new client, do you see this complexity of just paperwork everywhere with no real purpose or no intent, or it's being imported from a previous business or from a previous relationship, and such and such a tier one needs it from us, so therefore I'm not going to develop myself because I don't know exactly what they're looking for, but I know a man that can get it for me. And next thing, all of a sudden, it becomes part of their documentation, which has no substance or has no credibility towards who they are actually as a company.
You said it, drowning in complexity. It's one of the key problems that are out there. And it's nearly like a perfect storm, because they're still dealing with legacy paperwork. And then they're trying to implement digital technology, which is absolutely the right thing to do, but they're messing it up in the implementation, in short. The change, and that's what I'm saying, they're drowning in complexity and change management. COVID, the acceleration of digital technology has just added more complexity. And if I can, what I start with is, when I take them to a step back, it's about, I see digital technologies massively been beneficial to this industry. But if the businesses that they're trying to implement them in, if they don't have the right structure initially, they're just adding fuel to the fire. And that is why that's why the industry is getting is finding slow traction on all of this. And that's what I help them do. And the first point in my process is, in terms of the strategy, get them to step back. I assess where their business actually is through assessing their numbers. The amount of SMEs that aren't running basic management accounts, haven't really maybe seen a P&L until 12 months after their year end. They're still running their business by what's in their bank account. Basic cash flow expenditure documentation, weekly, 6-week, 8-week, 12-week look aheads. They're not in place. And that first step in my process, that is where I unpack the numbers with them. But there is legacy issues in terms of the traditional processes that people need to let go. And that's a psychological and behavioral change that we need, that is still very slow to get traction on. But again, it's something that I do. And part of my model is, I have strategic partnerships with software businesses. And the reason for that is, a lot of them are struggling. They're doing brilliant, but they're struggling because they're implementing these great softwares. They're trying to implement them. They're bringing them into these businesses, but the businesses aren't getting them implemented correctly. And that's a big part of mine. And it's very subtle. The change management thing is very subtle.
It's funny you should say that, and I'm going to put myself out here in a vulnerable position, but I went to a dietitian recently because I shot up from where I was, and said, no, I need to sort of I need external intervention here. So I spoke to this dietitian, and she was very good actually. And shout out to Isabel. But she said, okay, well, what's going to happen is, we're going to put you on a 2-meal plan. So basically, you're going to have 2 meals a day, and you're going to fast for a minimum of 16 hours. So you're really going to have a brunch around. Now, this is completely off topic from where we are, but I'm going with this. So just stick with me, Brendan, all right? Because it resonates with what you're talking about. And 16 hours. And I actually, she floored me. I was like, fucking two meals a day? And I'm like, I can't eat till about 2 o'clock in the day. Like, what happened to 9 o'clock breakfast or 7 o'clock breakfast or whatever? But I got into it and I started doing it, and like, obviously, and then it was the behavioral change and the behavioral concept of I didn't need to eat really early in the morning. Now, that some people may feel they need to eat early in the morning, but then all of a sudden I found out I hadn't experienced hunger for a while. So now all of a sudden I did experience hunger. And that led me to, wow, well, I wasn't hungry, so I really don't really need to eat till 2 o'clock in the day. And then my window was very short because I only had probably till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening. So I wouldn't be eating again till probably about 4 or 5 o'clock, later on in the evening. So now all of a sudden, all that complexity of food was brought back into a micromanagement and a behavioral change within my psychic, which is like my subconscious and conscious was now saying, yeah, I don't need to eat. And it's like I'm going and putting it back into your model where all this complexity that's being layered on top of companies is basically buckling them and causing a downward pressure on the business. And, owners then have to manage this chaos because, they have all these systems and processes and procedures and structures that they feel that you have to follow it. Whereas, if you get somebody to come in like yourself and just go, look, hold on a minute, let's just pin this back to what is actually important within the business and start with the starvation model.
It's a great spin on it again. I appreciate you being honest on it, but I've spoke to friends and and family again that are doing the fitness thing, and maybe I've been out of training for a while. And
Yeah.
my first point is saying to them, the best investment that you can make is in a reputable or a strong personal trainer that can hold you to account, that can take away your willpower until you create your new habits. In terms of the business side of things, it's a great way to a spin on it in terms, because that's exactly what I do. It's there's an underlying passion behind this. Business and personal well-being. The longer this continue, business and personal well-being is continue to be impacted. And now, if you speak to the directors, they might not admit it, but they don't realize most of them are suffering with burnout, and they're fighting through it. And it's because they're running a construction business. It's not easy. It's a lonely game, number one, as well. But I only try and break that barrier to that. Look, if you see us, if you run your reviews on these consultancy and you look at their background and you see it, make that investment. It can be one of the most feasible or best investments that you'll make in your life, not just even for your business, but from your personal side. I invested in coaches and consultants. Not all were great, but I found my way with them, and the good ones, what they did, that's what they were great at doing. Helping me get grounded, help me take it a step back, realizing that, look, have patience, persistence, two big words that we're lacking in the game. And patience and persistence to follow your path. But to go back to it, what did your dietitian do? She sat with you, she assessed where you're currently at, what needed to change, a plan to doing that, and then supported you on your journey. That's exactly what I want to do. And I'm not sure why there's such a reluctance to gain that support, but I know maybe why it is, because of the stigma that's out there with consultants. And there is, because they're probably fed up. They've probably had coaches and consultants in the past that, said they had all the solutions, and it never turned out that way. But it's a two-way. The one thing that I ask for with all my clients is just to be honest. This only works if both of us are being honest and both of us are in this. I can only do so much. As much as I help with the implementation, the business is only as good as that business leader operating at the best they can. And there's a lot of 60, 80 hours. A lot of these guys, when I try to connect with potential leads and clients, it's so hard to get them to connect in for 30 minutes. I usually do a 30-minute free discovery session, and it's usually they're still in work, in the car between jobs, and this could be at any point in time of the day. And that to me is the biggest alarm. We have scheduled some of these meetings, could be we should have scheduled in a week in advance, Gab, maybe 2 weeks. So you've got half an hour, and they can't set half an hour aside to sit in a private space to connect. That's already an alarm bell to me to go, you're somebody that I want to help. because that's the business running them instead of them running the business. And I go back to it. It's not a lot of these SMEs, it's not their fault that their business is set up incorrectly from the start. They didn't set up their business to be system experts. Most of them are practical, they're hands-on, brilliant at dealing with construction challenges. But they haven't, as I say, they haven't had the time to develop their business acumen to deal with the business challenges. And that's what the repetitive issues that I see time and time again are internal challenges that are within their control, but because they didn't set up correctly, then they're continually firefighting and they can't step out of it. They can't see number one, can I invest in this? Is it going to work for me? And can I get the time? But that again, as I say, that's the alarm to me to go, that's they need this assistance. And I want to try. I'm going to be persistent on trying to be that their support for them. But tangibly, and that's what my system, and I believe my system can provide that. It's not faff. It cuts through the faff because of my experience. I'm not coming from another industry. I'm coming from the construction industry, and not to reiterate, but I applied this model. It wasn't the STARS model there now. I've created that now, but it followed the same structure. And it did, as I say, that company that I exited has continued to scale. And the business owners have time and they're enjoying their business.
Yeah, and you see them every now and again as well, and they say, look, I need to get on top of social media, and you go off and you pay couple of €100 a month, maybe on Facebook ads and stuff like that. And you got to say to yourself, like, what are you looking for on social media? Are you looking for more jobs? Are you looking for extensions? Or like, if you do a good job for somebody, surely to hell, there's about 5 or 6 touch points from that particular company or that particular individual. If it's a residential house, surely you're going to get the cousin and the cousin's cousin and the uncle, because you can't get people. So, I look at companies and I see them dumping money into digital marketing. And don't get me wrong about digital marketing. It has its place. But, to go in and sort of look at where the problems are within the business and sorting out and doing the housekeeping of your business and sort of shaping yourself to have a sustainable model. Surely that has to be more important than actually trying to go out and becoming, this sort of face of Facebook or TikTok. And dumping, like, the compound effect of that is like you're adding more complexity because you're getting all these reports that you probably can't read or you don't have time to read. And then you're spending a paid ads program, paid PPC, if you like, or whatever else, plus your man's, consultancy fee on top of it. When in fact, his gross profit and his net profit could be wrong. He's buying the wrong materials from the wrong people. He's using the wrong contractors, or she's using the wrong contractors. And there's money going flying out the back door here.
It's a brilliant point, Gavin. And there's a reason why sales and marketing is the fifth and last step of my steps that I take them through. It's the last thing that we do because of that. I have seen in the construction companies that I was in, them spending serious amount of money on now brand, like just as you said, it's important to market and sale, absolutely right. But most construction companies have to competitively tender it. They don't get on the tender list for the branding, unfortunately. It doesn't how good your marketing. It's about your deliverability, your skill, your competency on how to deliver construction projects. And it's just the other reality. Construction business owners not looking at the real problems, and it's not their fault again because they feel that I'd say there's an anxiety or a stress because they don't know how to deal with it. Hence again, why then again, effective consultants that I like to think that I am, that has experience in it, that has experience in all these challenges, engage them, spend time with them first before you commit to any sort of financial agreements or fee agreements. Spend time with them, get to know them. As you said as well, in terms of construction companies and getting return work, it's on performance. It's on performance and deliverability. And you can only do that through having an effective system. And your system is made up of effective people implementing streamlined processes with the help of digital technology. That's what a system is. And the companies that are excelling in the game have understood that. And that's what they're focusing on. They're focusing on and developing their people in the proper way, setting proper performance plans in place. They're streamlining their processes. You probably know from ISO and the health and safety, the ISOs, all these processes. I revised our ISOs in my own business because they were just overexhausted.
Yeah.
You could put down as one process, you could put down 3 pages of A4s just writing.
Yeah.
That's straight away creating overwhelm to a site manager or whatever. They need to be streamlined. The workflows need to be streamlined from here to there. I'll give you a real-time example where people are I'm hearing it time and time again falling down. One simplified workflow process that I always beat on about is the handover process in a general contracting business from tendering to post-contract. And I talk about the importance of a pre-start meeting at the start of that, where you do the handover from the estimating department, and the construction department then gets an update on how the job was tendered, all the information, and the contracts manager then discusses the project, delegates responsibility, and then holds bi-weekly meetings until such stage that the project is successfully doing it. And it's usually whenever I assess the businesses, because they haven't done that simple process, had a meeting with the internal cycles, your QSs, your health and safety department, your BCARs, your purchasing department, and ascertain and your QSs, because they don't do that, they end up 12 weeks into a job and they're already firefighting, and it's all through one simplified process. You don't need it's not rocket science, but failure to do that, failure to make that a non-negotiable for every project, it's mind-boggling to me why. And again, general contractors, if you're talking about, like, we contractors have here 10 million, we went to 13 million one year, you're talking about 10 to maybe between 10 and 15 jobs over this case of 12 months. Yeah. So you're talking about 10 pre-start meetings like that you just need to get right, and it will make, I guarantee, if it's done properly, now that still has to be it can't be just a meeting for a reason. I've got a format that you go through and ask the right questions to get the right answers, and then sets the right tasks to make sure that everybody knows what is expected of them, and then feedback in terms of that.
The son or the brother. So the brothers were running the business, and one of the brothers had a $9 million annual contract with a company, and there was kind of ups and downs with the contract with regards to the performance of the brother. But because he was the brother, they kind of, had a few chats with him now and again, but then let him off, and sort of, then eventually he slipped back into his old ways, and eventually the client just dumped him, just dropped the contract. 9 million. Like, you're talking about a small to medium enterprise, like even at 9 million in the States, it was pretty substantial. But one of the lessons out of it was, obviously leadership wasn't leading, where they should have pulled this guy in and said, either, we pull this guy out of here, because we need to demonstrate to the client that we're in control. But the one thing that struck me was that they didn't stay close to the project to a point that they were asking the right questions, or asking questions, or staying close to the customer to get to a point where they could see it coming. They knew in their heart and hearts, but have you seen that as well, where owners become absent from the business? Now, there is this talk about, I want to be on the business and not in the business. And that's well and good. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, but there's a point of it as well, that you pull yourself away from the business. Next thing, all of a sudden, all these client relationships that you've built up, where you've had your success, have now gone on. He's not around anymore, really, and we don't really talk to him the way we used to talk to him. And we have this brother here who's causing a lot of problems from us. Where I'm going with this with you is, how do people benchmark the performance of their people to the point that they're satisfied that they're delivering?
It's very straightforward. It's very straightforward in my eyes. First off, I'm not working on and in the business. I'm a big believer you earn that right, and that's through building your effective system. Now, another big issue that's out there is there's serious problems in terms of recruitment, induction, and development practices in construction companies. How many site managers or employees that I've seen that have just had an interview and the next thing they land in, they maybe get a quick health and safety talk. Let's use site managers, one of the most important guys, get their laptop phone straight out to site. No proper development plans, no performance metrics. And these are subtle. I always say this. What do we all look for? All we really look for is to know what is expected of us and then feedback on how we're doing in terms of that expectation. But it starts with the leaders, and business owners, leaders have to take a lot of responsibilities to this, because and that's where I see a lot of them failing. There's zero induction and recruitment and development plans in place. And it works both ways. You need accountability, but I talk about these roles and responsibilities of all the people that you need in a company. I talk about perform performance contracts, and what that just is clarity and role. Are you clear on what is expected of you, and then what are the metrics for me to give you feedback on how you're doing to that? And as you said, there's too much open door policy, reactive feedback. So just to that example, brother or not, I've seen, whether it's family member or not, I've seen too many senior guys that are just getting away with it. Most people are operating their jobs how they see fit. And it's not actually their fault. It's the fault of the business owners that hasn't set clear expectations on
Yeah.
on the rules.
Yeah.
And, but that's another perfect scenario of the issues that I see existing. Instead of clear expectations,
Yeah.
clear accountability measures, and clear rewards. Clear rewards is another thing. Instead of this, there's the big talk about we can't get the people. I guarantee if we interview now 100 business owners, they'd say, but sure, again, we can't get the people. That's an easy out to me. And I would always say, what is your recruitment, induction, and development plans? And they're non-existent. So how do you expect to retain staff when you haven't set a clear direction for them? Like, guys can still walk out. Ambitious people are leaving companies, and that's because they don't have that structure. And I found it's what was the first thing that I did when I went back up to my business when they had the growth period was I assessed the numbers like I do with everybody. I set the intentions for the directors and shareholders. I went straight to the team to set clear to ascertain were they sitting in the right seats that were aligned with their core strengths. A lot of people are actually, there's ad hoc hiring. There's so much ad hoc hiring in the industry as well. And people are sitting in the wrong seats that actually don't meet their skill set. And that's, even if we change that, if we get the right people in the right seats, we can open up that untapped potential that I talk about. And I just found by getting down on the ground with them one-to-one, by having a 12-month plan in place from them, setting a clear expectation, 6-month performance review, and a month 12 performance and pay appraisal. They were just going, give me more. And that's where they will do the unseen errors for you as a business owner. Or rather than half 4 comes, you can't get their phone. And I'm not saying that anybody should be doing this, should be expected to do any more hours out. We were probably the only fools that did that for business owners back in the day. But there's accountability also in the employees. I felt I was assertive enough that I wanted to know what was expected of me. I wanted to perform. I was sitting at 10 o'clock at night because of inefficient processes, because of the domino effect from, if you do not have clear expectations across the board, you're impacting. It's number one. It's selfish. That's the thoughtful thing that I talk about is somebody else will be impacted in that business through your failure to do that,
Hello, gaffers. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We love every one of the guests that we have, but in order to bring on more great guests, we'd love to build a channel with you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let's create a really great community where we bring in better and better guests for you to deliver great content and great pieces of information that you can take back
into your business. Now, back to the podcast. Thank you.
I've seen it, and probably the listeners and the viewers will resonate with this, and along with yourself, is we've seen people get their way in their career by manipulating situations to the benefit of themselves within the business, and next thing they get elevated into a higher position because they're able to talk the talk, they're able to walk the walk, and they're able to they just have the gift of the gab to get themselves where they're going, but actually they're not functioning, they're not actually making an impact, and kind of nearly pushing paper around to make it look like as if they're busy. Like, this might sound very cynical, but weeding out those non-productive, shall we say, people is an art in itself, because like it's one thing hiring them, and next thing all of a sudden when you start promoting them, and next thing all of a sudden the culture in the company starts to sort of wean off. And I don't think people see that enough, where they go, hold on, we're not the same company anymore, because the company's changed, it's got bigger, and next thing we've onboarded these people, as you say, in an ad hoc fashion, in terms of a reactive fashion. And they're nearly like predators, these people. They find a way into these companies, and they're able to sort of create this toxicity within the business, where they're great at talking about all the problems, but they actually don't provide any of the solutions, or they're not actually grafters in the field themselves. And the lads in the field are no fools. Like, they could come around and say, how the hell did he get that job? Jesus, like, he swans around, comes in, has his coffee, bang, bang, bang on his laptop, always on the phone, never hear from him. And next thing, all of a sudden, he's gone out the door, and, we're left picking up the pieces.
I don't think you're being cynical at all. It's just a fact. I could tell you some horror stories of recent instances of senior management, but I'll not. But I'll put it down to, it's a two-way street. There needs to be more accountability, especially on the senior and senior leaders that think there. There's too many manager titles, Gavin, to be completely honest as well. But then I'll go back to this. The easy way for a business owner to mitigate against that, the reason they're continually, the employee, let's say, is continually to get away with that and talk the talk and talk their way into that, it's because the business owner hasn't set a performance measurement in place. He hasn't set actually proper metrics to measure his performance in terms of his role. And then this is what I'm saying, it's the reactionary appraisal. They set in an issue on site, open door policy, they go in, they have the argy-bargy, and then, right, go out the door and do the same shit again. And we'll paper over the cracks of not implementing the processes until the problem arises. And it's the winging it analogy. A lot of them are winging it, and they do it until they're good, until the next issue that arises. And it's the other thing that I'm talking about. They're not intentional enough in how they're running their business. Number one, where they want to go to. That's exactly, and again, it's the importance of my first step. Why are you doing what you're doing? Where do you want to get to? What's the type of people that you want in? Like, people have all these mission statements. Mission statements up on a wall. Again, A4 that you can barely see the writing on it. But nobody's just what I found that was strong in mine was I talk my values to my staff. These are the values that I hold dear: straightforward, thoughtful, accountable, and resolve. And it's not about getting them to take them on, absolutely, but to become aligned. This is my expectation of everybody that's working within this, and I will be straightforward, but I need it in return. And there's so many. It's another issue out there in terms of, I think there's this attitude out there in senior managers that are sitting looking at the director going, well, I could do his job. And then they take advantage of the autonomy. There's a lot of brilliant managing directors out there, but they give too much autonomy to their staff. And like I talk about, responsibility without accountability leads to instability. It's not a wee buzz freeze. It's just fact. But again, it becomes part of my structure. If you do not have the correct, and that's from everybody. That's everybody within your company. It's not just your senior management. Clarity on roles and expectations, clear performance metrics, and that's just being transparent, being straightforward. In every other type of industry, Gavin, your performance is measured in terms of the role that you're supposed to provide. And they just don't do it in construction. And recruitment companies are not the answer either. And people are jumping. But as I say, it's pretty straightforward. It's getting clear on what's expected, setting the performance measures in place, and being consistent in that. And the business owners will see the fruit. They'll see the fruits of it, number one, because they'll see a spike in performance, because the ambitious ones, the true, honest employees that just want to do a good job. Gavin, a lot of people are comfortable, in certain roles. They don't want to progress, but they want to do a good job. It'll also weed out the ones that are taking advantage that you're talking about, that have got these titles. And I think going way back when I came into the industry in the pits of the recession, Gavin, it's an untapped need in terms of people back then. I think because there was so much work on, they were just given these titles of managers, and it's carried forward. And how can you have a manager position if you actually haven't done a competency in I'm not saying a business degree, but a basic degree in proving your competency?
100%. 100%. Surely there's kind of models out there that work where, it's a very linear structure from, tradespeople, charge and foreman, project manager, contracts manager, potentially or potentially not, or project director, and then CEO. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of a streamlined communication, coordinated production line is really what we're looking at here. And I'm kind of shocked because you're saying to me, because I wouldn't be aware, but you're saying that there's just managers' roles being pulled out left, right, and centre, and they're probably just buckling. They're buckling the whole thing.
I believe it. I honestly, I've seen it. I've experienced it firsthand. But again, I'll put the onus back in with the managing director. It's not me doing a sales here, but one of the strategic partnerships there that I have is with an app called TeamFlick. And I think I named it as a game changer for that managing director or that senior leader, that COO, because effectively, if you talk about the hierarchical structure, Gavin, and all them rules, as a managing director, if you have that title, you're managing all them people and what they're doing. And what this app does, it enables you to get clarity on all the rules, their performance metrics, their task management, what their tasks are, and what a lot of them are doing now, where they're falling down, managing directors, and it's not their fault again. They're only one man. They're appointing senior managers, and they're entrusting their senior managers to give them the correct feedback. So take project managers and contracts managers. How many times have I sat in a meeting, and who's to blame? Who gets all the blame? The site manager.
Yeah. There's that's not independent advice, because that person is their incentive is to keep their job and to get more money out of the company. And that's not going to lead to credible information and feedback.
Absolutely. And a lot of them, the managing directors, are just turning a blind eye to it. And I say the effective managing directors, or the directors operating at that level, or proper CEOs, they are involved. And that's not inviting a site manager in or going to a site and having a yarn with them. When I had it, I knew everybody, and you're only talking about 15, you can have 15 to 20 people, Gavin, and you could turn 10 to 20 million of core of that with your site. I would be saying, if you want to have a successful, sustainable business, would it not be worth the time and you get involved in every one of them performance, setting the clear rules, setting the performance measures? As I said, you're talking about 3 meetings within the space of 12 months with all your core staff.
Hi guys, as you're enjoying this podcast, I just wanted to take a few seconds to let you know about my company, Coyle Group. We're not just another safety recruitment agency. We're your partners in building a safer future. With over 25 years of experience and more than 1 million hours of safety work completed, our mission is clear: provide top-tier health and safety contractors tailored to the unique needs of your project. We also carry out on-site construction audits. From wind energy to power stations, utilities and engineering projects, our global reach and specialised expertise ensures your operations are not just compliant, but exemplary. For more information on how ensuring safety and sustainability of your products using our team of HSE contractors, visit coil-group.com or click on the show notes or video description now. I've also put a booking link into the description for you to click and have a one-to-one conversation with me. Now, back to the podcast. Enjoy and see you soon.
Yeah, like I am. There's some things that I think of when I go like I'm a bit. Like, I actually think I need to calm down a little bit. But like I look at the ghost shoppers and even the likes of the Michelin star, auditors, if you like, and they just randomly turn up into these shops and just randomly, feedback what experience they've had within that shop or within that restaurant or within that hotel. And the ones that actually do that right, actually, generally speaking, they're the ones that are top of the game. Like, it'd be interesting to see if you brought in an individual into a company, and that individual was brought in on the basis that they were going to give you feedback on what their experience was being inducted, what their experience was by being integrated into the company, how they felt that they were informed by the tasks that they needed to do from a safety point of view and from an operational point of view, who they felt was the leaders within the company, and all they're doing is just feeding back. It'd be an interesting concept to do.
I wish I was wrong, but I'd say the feedback would be frightening.
Come on,
and again, you could do. Was there somebody that did that in America? One of those big guys that did that, and he sort of, as you say, ghosted in. But you could do
like undercover boss, kind of like
the undercover boss thing. Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's absolutely, because I think then you do it for the successful ones, and you will see how subtle it is. You will see how subtle it is. I know some of the bigger ones. There's a few in the north there, tier ones, and I could see it because they're marketing on their LinkedIn. And I think there was one there recently that I seen a senior manager. It was the boardroom picture showing him the induction into the company. It's that subtle, and these are the companies that are getting the repeat work, that are building their reputations because they're able to deliver. They're building teams that don't want to leave them because of back to what I'm saying, the simplicity of what is expected of me, and can I get feedback in terms of my expectations, structured feedback. But the senior, there's a lot of toxicity. There is a lot of toxicity out there, and but that does come back into the leader as well to stamp that out, and they shouldn't just be. A lot of these senior managers are getting pushed up roles or getting through, failure in their performances because they get in, they have the argy-bargy, and then they finish with a bit of crack, and then they move on instead of going, hold on a minute, Brendan, you're the managing director. I'm sitting down here with you. Here's the last 3 1-to-1s. Here was our last structured performance meeting, and here now that was the first point of reference, and there's 3 further points of reference of where you're failing to deliver performance. So I have to take action from that. So that you can't lay on that. If you've had a meeting that's recorded, that's proper performance and development and feedback review. Then if they don't, and if you can show that to your staff member, then they'd be deluded to go on. They really have to look internally at themselves, at their own performance. But you weren't being cynical. Because they're not getting that, they just go on, I'll get through this meeting. I'll get on to the next one, He likes me.
I'm going to throw a few curveballs at you because we're nearly time up. And that 45 minutes flew, to be honest with you. So we'll have to get you back on again.
I hope the audience gets something out of
it. We only touched off. We didn't go into everything that we needed to go into. So that's why I think there's another podcast in this. Knowing what you know now, Brendan, what would you do different? That's in life, by the way.
I honestly don't, and it's not me even super confident. I don't regret everything. I've had an amazing journey. I'm glad I listened to my intuition. I'm just thinking about it now. The only thing I would have maybe trusted my gut that wee bit more and stepped out and built what I've built now based on my real-term experience, instead of trying to take all the stuff from the books that I've read, the fucking academic stuff that I've done and business courses, and to try to amalgamate it. I should have just trusted my gut from in terms of experience and going, this is what works. And because when I did do that, it seems to be, and that is why I've stepped out in this. I honestly have belief that this framework cuts through the noise of all the rest of them. It does take time. Every business is different. That's why I can't say, you'll not see me on LinkedIn saying the 6 months framework that will transform your business. until anybody that states that is complete, it's just false marketing. I have to get in, get to know my clients, and I don't want to work with every SME. I want to work with the ambitious owners that really have, that have that craft and want to do it right, and they are there. We just need to. I just need to break down that barrier to, you know what I mean, to getting in, and hopefully they can start ramping it up.
A point of interest about you, Brendan, that not many people would resonate or know about you.
I don't know if it's a point of interest, but on my side, another passion of mine is I'm a big lover of house music, everything deep house, and I've got a wee DJ room out in my garage that I built last year, part of the house, and it's just where I get talk about meditation and all the rest. Music is my healing. So I do that. I DJ in any spare time that I can. And that's the fun of it.
You're a home DJ.
Domestic DJ.
DJ.
I haven't put myself out there yet. I'm going to try and tackle this SME market first, and then I'm going to try.
Well, here's your brother, because I have a set of decks up here that I really need to take out more often. But then I'm kind of nearly discouraged at the fact that AI is going to completely dismantle the DJ market, or it looks like, in a way. Not the underground. The people that have been the technology, again, from that, anybody can, because the technology can help you mix, but not the I literally grew up with it. My brothers had the vinyl decks, and then I just loved everything about it. And no, you'll see it. It's the digital marketing thing. It's the guys that are playing to that, they can, but you've got the underground guys that I'm really into. So no, it'd be good to have a chat on the side about that. Yeah, and I suppose, I don't know about your partner, but my partner is delighted the fact that I'm not into sort of cars and all that kind of stuff. Like, you can have your decks. A favourite book or movie, or both, Brendan? Oh, book. Could be business or can be fiction. On the book side of things, I'm not sure. I think you might have had him on a long time ago. I do too, in terms of success in life, called 3 Simple Steps by Trevor G. Blake. Did you interview Trevor G. Blake at all? I don't know, it might have been mixed up with somebody else, but it's a good one. He talks about the power of mentality control, which again is a bit that I tap into in my business thing, the power of intentions and the ability to set targets. But from a leadership point of view, a great book that I read was It's Not About the Coffee, if I'm right, by Howard Behar, guy that was C-level exec in Starbucks. And it's a great book in terms of servant leadership and people first approach to business. Brilliant. Brendan, where do people go to find you? How do they find you, and why do you think you can help them? Obviously, we know that from the podcast, but if someone was reaching out to you, what would they reach out to you for? Oh, it is. If anybody's listening to this and they're feeling stuck or they're feeling overwhelmed, reach out. I've got a scorecard there that they can find me, that can find on LinkedIn. They can complete it for free. It gives them an honest assessment across the 5 key areas of their business. And I can connect for a 30-minute free discovery session after that. I am all about getting these business owners to redesign their foundation, to build a structure so that they can embrace the digital technology, develop good people, the people that they have, bring new people into it, and develop a business that works for them. So Starcoz.com is a website, and they can follow me on LinkedIn. Starcoz is Starcoz. Starcoz.com. Brendan, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I definitely think we've only hit a fraction of the overall conversation that was needed, but I definitely feel that I got a lot out of the conversation with yourself today. And if you are a small to medium enterprise business owner, independent tradesperson, you're ambitious, but you're a little bit stuck and you're thinking to yourself, how do I navigate this? Or how do I get out of this? Or you might be in a bit of a mess, because we're here to help people as well, in terms of, you might have signed a contract and you kind of got yourself kind of tied up into a situation where you feel there's no way out. There is a way out. Reach out to people, and they are willing to help. And don't think it's a money thing. People like Brendan and other people we get on the show, they come up from the right place in terms of their heart and their values. And if you can work with people because you get on well with them, well, then that's the reason why you want to work with them.
100%.
Brendan, we'll see you again in the future.
Gavin, delighted to be talking to you. Thanks a million. We'll see you again soon.
Take care. Hang on the line, buddy, because we buffer to the cloud.
Hello, gaffers. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We love every one of the guests that we have, but in order to bring on more great guests, we'd love to build the channel with you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let's create a really great community where we bring in better and better guests for you to deliver great content and great pieces of information that you can take back into your business.